Hello, hello. So I'll be talking about stress and its relation to COVID because we're all stressed right now. And so how to help with that through nutrition. And I really just want to start with going over what has happened in 2020 to prove that we are all stressed out. Of course, the tragic death of Kobe and Gigi, the Australian bushfires, the death of George Floyd and the unrest that followed, the explosion in Beirut, the death of another legend, and all of this in the middle of a global pandemic, one that shut down schools and forced us to leave UMass. I'm really sad. I think I might cry when I get to my car. We were so suddenly forced into a quarantine. Frontline workers became even more critical overnight. And still, 8 months later, not much has changed. So as depressing as that may be, it's the truth, it's what's been happening, and it's completely understandable why we are all feeling stress. So in my video, I want to talk about how stress has been impacting COVID and the outcomes for it, and what stress does to our bodies and our digestive systems, which are related to nutrition. Then I want to talk about ways to reduce stress through nutrition and other ways as well, since it impacts our digestive system critically. So let's first talk about stress and what it is and what it does to our bodies. So cortisol is the hormone that we know as stress. While having some cortisol is healthy and is what makes us have the will to get out of bed in the morning, chronic stress is harmful to our bodies. It slows down our digestive system to focus our energy elsewhere. It increases blood pressure and raises our blood sugar levels, which can impact cardiovascular disease risk. It also suppresses our thyroid function and our immune system, which with COVID right now is critical as well. It also delays ovulation in females, so they may not get their period or it'll come late. So these are just a few ways that cortisol impacts our bodies. As you can see here, there are many other ways and more that are not listed here as well, such as lack of sleep or trouble sleeping, which we know that not getting enough sleep also negatively affects our immune system, which is not good when it comes to COVID. Cortisol can also impact our mental health and cause depression, as well as headaches or insomnia, and a whole bunch of other problems like fertility problems, erectile dysfunction, etc. I want to go back to the digestive issues though, since it is related to nutrition, which is the main point of this video. So it does slow down our digestive system, and fewer digestive enzymes are released, which means that many vitamins and minerals can't be broken down or absorbed. So we know that we need to be absorbing these vitamins and minerals for our health. So this all causes metabolic dysregulation, and chronic stress can also redistribute fat to the visceral region, which we have learned is not that great for our health. It also impairs our ability to metabolize fatty acids. And then going back to the high blood glucose levels as well, that can cause insulin resistance, which we've learned, and that can lead to prediabetes. So now going back to how this is all related to COVID, there was a study done looking at the levels of cortisol in COVID patients. And as you can see here from the graph, the orange line represents patients whose cortisol levels were higher than 744. Then the blue line represents patients whose cortisol levels were lower than or equal to 744. And over time, which is the x-axis, they look at their survival probability, which is the y-axis. And you can see that the orange line, the patients who had high cortisol levels had lower chances of survival than those who had low cortisol levels. After looking at the effects of chronic stress and high cortisol levels on our bodies, it makes sense that those with high cortisol levels would have lower chances of survival, especially with the negative effects on our immune system from high cortisol levels. So how do we lower our cortisol levels now that we've learned about the negative effects of chronic cortisol levels? I first want to talk about nutrition-related ways, and then some that may not be directly related to nutrition, but are still very helpful. So let's start with some directly nutrition-related examples. Magnesium. Magnesium is a mineral that we learned a little bit about in class and how it's an intracellular cation. It stabilizes ATP. It also helps with nerve transmission, muscle contraction, glucose and insulin regulation, as well as bone structure and mineralization. But magnesium actually has a whole bunch of other benefits. So as you can see here, it relieves insomnia, it protects our heart, combats asthma, reduces high blood pressure, improves digestion, and alleviates constipation symptoms. It protects against diabetes and supports bone health. So if you think back to all of the negative impacts that high cortisol levels had on our bodies, all of these benefits of magnesium actually combat all of those negative effects from cortisol. Magnesium has also been proven to directly lower cortisol levels and our overall stress, as well as help with better sleep, which we know gives us a better immune system to help combat COVID-19. And so where can you find magnesium? Well, a lot of the foods that are rich in magnesium include beans, nuts, seeds, leafy greens, and whole grains. So as you can see here, almonds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, avocado, pumpkin seeds, tons of nuts and seeds. So definitely stock up on cashews, almonds, pecans, whatever you like to help with your magnesium levels. And we've learned that the recommendation for magnesium is about 400 milligrams per day for women and 300 milligrams per day for men. Another really nutritious source of magnesium is oats. I love oatmeal and granola. And so if you see here, Quaker Oats, one serving has 10% of your daily value for magnesium, coming in at 40 milligrams. So something that I really like to do is make homemade granola and add in even more sources of magnesium. So I'll make a whole batch of granola and add in pumpkin seeds and almonds and pecans. You can also add cashews. So all of these nuts and seeds, in addition to the whole grain oats, is going to give you a ton of magnesium. Another one of my favorite sources of magnesium is dark chocolate. Another mineral that has been shown to help reduce cortisol levels is potassium. So as you can see here, it helps with brain functioning. It also stabilizes blood sugar and blood pressure levels, maintains optimal muscle and nerve function, improves bone health, and so on. But most importantly, it is a powerful stress buster for those cortisol levels, and it helps with our sleep, which we also know helps with our immune system, which then helps with COVID-19. And so the sources for potassium are going to be very similar to the magnesium sources, with nuts, seeds, dark chocolate, beans, and so on, as you can see here. Before we move on to other ways that you can lower your cortisol levels, I want to go back to magnesium to just say some important points. Generally, about 50% of dietary magnesium is absorbed, but fiber helps improve magnesium absorption. So when you're eating magnesium, make sure to also be intaking fiber. Luckily, a lot of the sources of magnesium have fiber already, such as those whole grain oats. Those are packed with fiber. But maybe if you're taking a supplement of magnesium, make sure that you're also eating it with fiber. Also, high calcium intake can interfere with magnesium absorption, especially if you are taking calcium supplements. So even more magnesium would need to be ingested if you are someone who eats a lot of calcium. So now let's talk about some other ways that are not directly related to nutrition necessarily, but indirectly related. So the first one that I want to mention is that COVID-19 has caused havoc on a lot of families. You may have lost your job, so money may be tight. Don't let this get in the way of your happiness. So when you're going to the store, if you've seen articles saying, buy organic food is better, don't listen to those. Buy food. It does not matter if it's organic or not organic. Eat your fruits and vegetables. Get your magnesium and potassium in any way that you can and that you are capable of. Something else that has been of concern during COVID-19 is not getting enough movement. which may lead to weight gain if you're eating too much, yada, yada, yada. Again, do not listen to any of these. We are in the middle of a global pandemic. We are all getting less movement. Don't worry about your calorie intake as long as you are eating. That is all that matters. We need to stop listening to fad diets and diet culture, which is over a $70 billion industry, by the way. They are just taking your money. They don't care about your actual health. So I am telling you that I care about your actual health. So practice mindful eating, dive into the world of intuitive eating, reconnect with your food, cook something with your family with fresh ingredients. Don't let being in quarantine determine your happiness based off the food or movement that you may or may not be engaging in. So, eat foods that you love, like dark chocolate, as do I. Engage in joyful movement. Don't think you have to do an hour-long HIIT workout to get in a good workout. Do some yoga, do some Pilates. Pilates kills, by the way. I know. But I have made a montage of different things you can do to help reduce stress that hopefully makes you smile or laugh to end this video. And I hope that you take away some things that you can do to lower your stress and help combat COVID-19.